Hello aspirants, welcome to Statecraft IAS Academy. As part of our Environment NCERT series, we are currently discussing Class 10, Chapter 13, that is our environment. In the previous video, we discussed the basics of ecosystem and food chain. Now let us go deeper into the concept of trophic level. Before we move ahead, let us quickly recap what we discussed in the previous class. Firstly, we discussed about the meaning of the ecosystem. Ecosystem is a functional unit of the nature. It consists of all living, non-living components which interacts to maintain ecological balance. Then the components include biotic and abiotic. Biotic are living, whereas abiotic are non-living. Then types of ecosystem, they are natural and artificial. Natural include forests, ponds and lake, whereas artificial include gardens, crops, etc. Then functional groups in an ecosystem are classified based on how they obtain food or mode of nutrition. These include producers, consumers and decomposers. Producers or autotrophs are those who prepare their own food from inorganic substances using sunlight, chlorophyll and carbon dioxide and water through the process of photosynthesis. For example, green plants and certain bacteria. Then consumers are heterotrophs. These are the organisms that depend on producers directly or indirectly for food. These are classified into herbivores, carnivores, omnivores and parasites. Then decomposers, also called saprotrophs or saprophytes. These are the microorganisms that break down dead plants, animals and organic waste into simpler inorganic substances. These include bacteria and fungi. Then flow of energy and food chain. Food chain is a linear sequence of organisms where each organism feeds on the one below it. Energy flows from one biotic level to another biotic level, and the flow of energy is unidirectional in nature, and energy never returns to the sun or previous trophic level. In this class, let us discuss trophic levels. What are trophic levels? Each step in a food chain is called a trophic level. If we see, in general, we can see 3 to 4 trophic levels. First trophic level include producers or autotrophs. These include green plants which capture solar energy and convert it into chemical energy through the process of photosynthesis. Then second trophic level, these are primary consumers which depend on first trophic level, that is plants, for their food. These include all herbivores like deer, rabbit and grasshopper. Then third trophic level, these are secondary consumers, that is these depend on second trophic level, that is these are usually carnivores which consume herbivores, for example frog, small fish. Then fourth trophic level, these include tertiary consumers or large carnivores eat secondary consumers, that means they consume the organisms which are there in the third trophic level. These include snake, hawk and tiger. Then 10% law of energy transfer. According to 10% law of energy transfer, only about 10% of energy at one trophic level is transferred to the next level. Remaining energy, that is remaining 90% energy, is lost in respiration, digestion, movement or heat loss. Due to this, food chain are usually limited to 3 to 4 trophic levels only. Very little usable energy remains beyond 4th trophic level. That is why we can see only 3 to 4 trophic levels in any food chain. In this diagram, you can see only 10% of energy is transferred from one trophic level to next trophic level, and 90% of energy is lost in each transfer. Because of energy loss is so high at each step, food chains are rarely longer than 3 or 4 levels. This can be a simple assertion and reasoning question. They can give food chains are usually limited to 3 to 4 trophic levels as an assertion, and reasoning very little usable energy remains beyond the 4th level. So both assertion and reasoning are correct, and reason correctly explains the assertion. Then food web. We have seen food chain. Food chain is linear in nature. That means it is straight, whereas food web is a network of interconnected food chain. Food web consists of multiple food chains. For example, a rabbit can be eaten by eagle as well as snake. Organisms are eaten by multiple species. More realistic representation than straight food chain increases ecosystem stability. A food web allows organisms to be eaten by multiple species, preventing ecosystem collapse if one food source fails. That means if rabbit population diminishes in the ecosystem, the eagle can depend on rat or other food for its survival. Whereas in food chain, there is only one species, one food item for the eagle, and if the rabbit population reduces, it affects the eagle also. So food web increases the ecosystem stability. Then energy flow characteristics. There are mainly two characteristics for the energy flow. One is unidirectional flow, other one is progressive energy loss. First one is unidirectional flow. That means energy flows only in one direction, that is from sun to producers, producers to consumers, and consumer to decomposers, and it doesn't go back from consumer to producers or producer to consumers. Energy does not return to previous tropic levels, does not go back to sun. Then progressive energy loss. Energy diminishes at each tropic level, that we have seen earlier. From each when energy transfers from one tropic level to next tropic level, around 90% of energy got wasted and only 10% of energy is transferred. This explains the shorter food chains, which are limited to 3 to 4 tropic levels. Then biological magnification or biomagnification. The cause of the biomagnification include use of pesticide and non-biodegradable chemicals. These chemicals enter the soil and these are used by plants. These are used by plants, or these are uptaken by plants, and these plants are consumed by herbivores like deers. Then these are consumed by carnivores like tigers. From here to here, the chemicals level increases because deer eats multiple plants and tiger eats multiple deers. Hence, the chemical start accumulating in larger amount in higher tropic levels, especially carnivores and including humans. Here we can see chemical enter soil, then plants, then herbivores and carnivores. We can also see this in water bodies and aquatic organisms and also humans. Why this occurs? Because chemicals are non-degradable, accumulate progressively at each tropic level, highest concentration at the top tropic level, that is top carnivores, which include humans. What are the effects of biomagnification? Humans accumulate maximum pesticide residues. Washing food cannot completely remove them. Even though we wash food before we cook it or before we eat it, we cannot completely remove the chemicals in the food. So maximum pesticide is consumed by or accumulated in the humans. Now let us see how do our activity, that means how do humans activities affect the environment. Humans are integral part of the environment. Environmental changes affect us and our activities modify environment. That means humans are integral part of the environment. They cannot live in isolation. Humans need environment for their survival, and changes in the environment affects humans. Major environmental concerns discussed here are ozone layer depletion and waste disposal. Other than this, there are other issues also like climate change, global warming, deforestation, etc. But in this chapter of our environment, these two are mainly discussed, that is ozone layer depletion and waste disposal. Now let us see ozone layer and its depletion. Ozone is a molecule of 3 oxygens, that is O3. Then difference between oxygen is O2 molecules of 2 oxygen. Important distinction: O2 essential for aerobic life, O3 at ground level it is toxic, but O3 ozone at the upper atmosphere is a protective shade. This can be important when ozone present in the lower level, it acts as a toxic gas, whereas ozone in the upper atmosphere acts as a protective shade. Then let us see how ozone formation occurs. Ozone is formed by action of UV radiation on oxygen molecules. When a high energy UV rays falls on the O2, it leads to splitting of the oxygen into individual oxygen atoms. These individual oxygen atom combines with the O2, then form ozone. If you see the ozone layer, it protects Earth from the UV rays, which cause skin cancer and DNA damage. When the ozone layer is damaged, these UV rays directly enter the Earth's atmosphere and cause skin cancer and DNA damage. How does this ozone layer get depleted? Use of chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs. These CFCs are widely used in refrigerator and coolers. These CFCs releases chlorine, which reacts with ozone to break down ozone into O2 and oxygen. Ozone depletion. Sharp decline in ozone levels observed in the 1980s. And what was the cause which was identified? Synthetic chemicals called chlorofluorocarbons, which are frequently are used in refrigerator, air conditioners, fire extinguisher and aerosol sprays. CFCs release chlorine in the atmosphere. Chlorine breakdowns ozone molecules and leads to thinning of ozone layer, which is also called ozone hole. Then to protect Earth from this UV radiation, in 1987 international action was taken, that is United Nations Environment Program. Through this program there was an agreement reached. What was the agreement? To freeze CFC production at 1986 level and gradually phase out CFCs. What was the present measure? Mandatorily production of CFC free refrigerator. That means refrigerators should replace CFC with HFCs, that is hydrofluorocarbons, which do not affect ozone layer, but other concern arised. What are the problem with the hydrofluorocarbon is, these are global warming causing chemicals. That means they trap the outgoing radiation from the earth and cause global warming. If we see the global success story of the ozone layer depletion and how it was recovered. In 1980s, a sharp decline in ozone observed. CFCs from the fridges are identified as a culprit. In 1987, UNEP agreement signed to freeze the CFC production. Presently, ozone layer is healing because mandatory CFC-free appliances were used worldwide. Then second problem, environmental problem caused by the humans in this chapter discussed is waste generation. What are the source of the waste? Daily life. Our daily life is the cause of source of waste, which include food, leftover, vegetable and fruit peels, paper, plastic, glass, metals, packaging materials. After disposal, some get decomposed naturally, some remain in the environment for long periods, some cause environmental pollution. Role of enzymes in decomposition. Enzymes are specific in nature or specific in action. That is, enzymes are like key. How a specific key can open specific lock. Similarly, a specific enzyme can break down a specific organic matter. Each enzyme acts on particular substance. For example, digestive enzyme break down food, but they cannot break down coal or plastics. What are the difference between biodegradable and non-biodegradable substances? The substances that can be broken down into simpler forms by bacteria, fungi and other decomposers are called biodegradable. These include food waste, paper, cotton, cloth, leaves. Then non-biodegradable are those that cannot be broken down by biological process. Example, plastic, glass, synthetic fibers and metals. Characteristics: biodegradable substances are decomposed naturally, return nutrients to soil, do not accumulate for long period. Biodegradable substances, they persist in environment for long time, may accumulate in ecosystem, can harm plants and animals. So this is for today. In the next class, we will see other NCERT chapters related to environment, mainly focused on exam point of view.